Okay, I have to. I have to see this. I'm gonna turn it down to make sure it's not crazy. That answering 19. Very part question that most fans probably don't know. Why 19? I guess there's an article. So let's yeah, let's just see how this goes.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's an early Sunday morning. I just woke up, and I woke up to a DM from someone that sent me this BuzzFeed article where it's 19 unanswered questions. And I thought, why not take a look at it and try to answer these questions?
It's BuzzFeed, of course it is. We'll just skip ahead.
Answered questions from
Oof.
the Harry Potter universe. Here they are. So, number one, why didn't Voldemort just kill Harry without his wand? It's not that hard. He was a baby.
These are the kind of questions that, like, you might as well ask, why didn't Voldemort come in there with a gun instead of trying to use magic? Like, really? It's the same with, like, why didn't you just drop him out the window or something? Like, come on, people. These are such obvious answers. It's so difficult to.
Well, Voldemort thought that his magic was unstoppable. He thought he was the most powerful man in the world, and he didn't think that anything could stop him.
And yeah, the other part of this is why didn't he kill without his wand? Well, like, one, he's a wizard. Wizards generally use their wand for everything, and this is somebody who is legit going around just using Avada Kedavra on everybody. Why would he not use it on Harry? Like, what? What?
So why wouldn't he use his magic that was what he thought unstoppable? Also, just picturing Voldemort punching a baby, that's a funny sight. Number two, why didn't Harry lie to Dobby in the second movie when Dobby told him to promise he wouldn't go back to Hogwarts?
Because he's 12 years old? What? I don't know.
I mean, he could have done that, but either way, I think he knew Dobby was going to do something, and I think he knew that Dobby would know he was lying. And even if Dobby didn't do something here, like, Harry knew he probably could have done something later, which he did. He closed the platform 9 3/4 barrier.
Not to mention, Harry is very much a pretty straightforward person. You know, when Di was telling him not to go to Hogwarts and everything, and Harry's like, "But all my friends are there," and blah blah blah. Like, Harry's only been to Hogwarts once at this point, and he very much loves the place. And yes, he's met all his friends there and all this stuff. So, like, why wouldn't he want to go back? He's not gonna lie, like, "Oh yeah, sure, I won't go back." Like, he's 12 years old.
All right, number three, where do wizarding children get their primary school education? That's actually an easy one. Parents of wizarding children are supposed to teach them writing, math,
Right?
English, all of that good stuff before they go to Hogwarts. So it's kind of like homeschooling.
Pretty much.
Number four.
I've always laughed at, like, 'cause, like, how are these people going into Hogwarts and just knowing math and everything? It's like, you realize that these same people go to Hogwarts at 11 years old and they already know English, right? Or wherever, wherever they go to school, depending on the area, they know the main language there. Do you think that Hogwarts is supposed to teach them English as well? No.
Do students at Hogwarts ever learn basic school skills like reading, composition, grammar, math, or health? I know Care of Magical Creatures is a cool class, but what about spelling? Well, again, parents teach them that before they go to Hogwarts.
Not to mention, there actually are magical quills that actually are supposed to self-correct spelling. And obviously, once the charm wears off, it does start to spell things wrong. But the fact that those exist is kind of funny. Like, it's literally autocorrect for pencils, which is awesome.
Number five, how did the Weasley twins?
This one's actually been answered by J.K. Rowling herself. And what's funny is, using common sense, I figured this out before I found out what she said about it. Let's see if he knows the answer.
Learn to access the Marauders map. That's also an easy one. Rowling revealed that the map actually helped them. The map could tell that they really were up to no good, so they gave them hints, like text would come up on the map, and they gave them hints on how to get to the phrase, "I solemnly swear that I am up to no good."
And what's funny, again, is it's using simple critical thinking. You can figure that out. Like, yeah, I get it. The idea is interesting because obviously the movie's just be like, "Oh, hey, you just do this," and then you got to say these words as well, otherwise anyone can read it. And you think, okay, how did they learn that if they just stole it from Filch? The map helped them. Now I feel like since the book gives more detail on what the map actually does, like the fact that it mocks Snape and everything, shows the map has a bit of knowledge in it. So 100% it helped them out. Like, it wasn't that hard to figure out.
Number 6. My question is, what happened to Harry's grandparents on his mom and his dad's side?
Dead.
Well, on his dad's side, his parents were a lot older. They decided to have a kid much later in life, so they died when James was young. And as for Lily's parents, it's never really been answered, but I assume they just both died. Like, we don't know their age. They could have been older as well. But yeah, for James's parents, we have a clear answer. Number 7, Crookshanks. Was he part Kneazle and also the same cat that had been owned by Lily and James?
This is, I just did a video deal on this one too. The idea that Crookshanks belonged to Lily, but as far as I can tell, as far as looking into it, Lily never said anything like that described the cat. All she said was, all her letter said was thanking Sirius for the toy broomstick. That, you know, Harry using it almost hit the cat. They never gave any information on what the cat looked like whatsoever. So suddenly going, oh, Crookshanks is their cat. Based on what?
He would have recognized Sirius and Peter, and he would have known who the traitor was. Well, no, that's actually just a fan theory. Crookshanks was not the Potter's cat, as far as we know.
Exactly.
I'm actually pretty sure that Rowling debunked that. So yeah, that's just a fan theory. But yes, Crookshanks was part Kneazle, and that's basically a cat, but they're a lot smarter. That's also what Mrs. Fig was raising across the street from the Dursleys. All right, number 8. You know how Voldemort gave Peter his hand back, however he did it? Why didn't they just do the same for Moody's leg? I mean, it was a cursed hand that ended up killing him, so there's that. But yeah, I feel like they probably could have done something to his leg, but knowing Moody, he was this tough, gritty guy.
And also, it could also depend on how it's removed. So let me see. I'm gonna go to the old Google here. How did Mad Eye Moody lose his leg? It all says lost his leg. Mad Eye Moody lost his leg due to injuries sustained during his time as an Auror, most likely while fighting against Dark Wizards and Death Eaters during the First Wizarding War. And that's about it. So we don't really know anymore. So I mean, it's possible that maybe he lost it to some curse that just they couldn't do anything else with it.
Would want battle wounds like that. But yeah, Wormtail's hand.
Also, plus the hand that Voldemort makes, like out of silver and everything, we don't know what spell that is or how insanely hard that spell would be to use. I am assuming that's a spell that he created. We don't know. Pretty sweet spell though. Like, don't get me wrong, it would be cool to see Mad Eye Moody with a fucking silver leg, but it doesn't really matter.
Hand was cursed and it killed him. But I don't think anyone wants that. Number 9, what did Dudley see during the Dementor attack?
This is easy. Nothing. It got cold and freezing and everything, and Harry told him to run, and he tried, and that's it. He didn't see what was going on.
That's a good question. And it's actually one that Harry asked in the book. I think he said something like, what did spoiled, pampered Dudley see when the Dementors went into his mind? But yeah, we actually do know the answer to that. And I believe what J.K. Rowling said is that he would see himself exactly as the person who he is, which is pretty interesting. Number 10, why couldn't Harry see Thestrals before Cedric's death if he had seen his parents die?
Oh, wait, hold on. Hang on. That was what did Dudley see during the Dementor attack? Like, as in, like, yeah, he didn't see the Dementors. And as for, like, did they bring out some bad memories? Like, no.
Exactly as the person who he is, which is pretty interesting. Number 10, why couldn't Harry see Thestrals before Cedric's death if he had seen his parents die?
I love that the answer is right below it. Hard call, Thestrals are only visible to those who have seen death and understand accept the meaning of in reality of it. So yeah.
That's also an easy one. Rowling answered that in an actual canon article and story, that basically saying that Harry was too young to process the death of his parents, so it didn't count, and obviously he was old enough to process Cedric's.
Yeah, like with that one, like you're talking about Harry being just over a year old. I don't know anyone who remembers anything from being over a year old. Like, my earliest memories are probably when I was 3 or 4, maybe, and even those memories I have a hard time trying to recollect.
Yeah. So that's why. Number 11, in the Deathly Hallows.
I don't know why Voldemort takes us to where the Harry's dead. If I were Voldemort, I'd spent so much chance over there. I'd be sure as hell to verify his death myself. I can answer this before he even does. Considering this is the moment where Voldemort attacks Harry, they both basically die, quotation marks, and flat out the fact that Voldemort sees exactly what Harry saw in King's Cross Station, where he's the tiny little skinned baby thing. When they both awaken, and Harry obviously doesn't like open his eyes or anything, he just kind of fakes it. Voldemort comes back and he's terrified. He doesn't know what the fuck just happened. He is terrified. He sends someone else to check. So he assumes his Death Eaters are all going to tell the truth. Why would he think that Narcissa would lie? He wouldn't. As far as he knows, she is a loyal follower. I mean, her husband is Lucius Malfoy.
I want to know why Voldemort takes Narcissa's word that Harry's dead. If I were Voldemort and had spent so much of my life connected to and obsessing over wanting to kill Harry, I'd sure as hell verify his death myself. I mean, again, I think that goes back to Voldemort's arrogance. It would never occur to him that his killing curse didn't work, and I think he just sent Narcissa there just to confirm what he already knew. And of course, he was wrong. All right, number 12.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. Like, there's no reason why the killing curse wouldn't work. Even like, there's no reason at this point that it wouldn't work, considering there was no one to protect Harry. Harry willingly walked in.
Why do they have moving paintings but don't have an art class at Hogwarts? Well, I mean, you can just make art with the flick of a wand. I think Dean Thomas did that to make like a Quidditch banner to support Harry during his Quidditch match.
I mentioned Hogwarts is meant to be a place to learn things to be a responsible adult in the Wizarding World. And sorry, but like obviously, as he points out, art could just be made with wand. Like boom, art's made, and you could probably not to mention you could probably use a wand to copy other paintings like with ease. But the big thing is that that Hogwarts kind of actually makes adults that are going to have, I hate to say this, but useful jobs. Don't get me wrong, art is cool, but in reality, the Ministry does not need artists.
So yeah, I don't think you need paintings to. I don't think you need paint to be able to make a painting. You just use your wand and magic. All right, number 13. I've always wondered what happened to Snape's body.
I buried it?
I assume they collected the dead, like they were collecting Colin Creevy's dead body. So I assume they eventually got to Snape and put him with the rest of the dead bodies. And I would assume that they burned them all in, like, honoring them in some way. But it's never technically been answered. Number 14. What does Moody see when...
Yes, this is the fun one. I actually had a discussion with my dad back when these books were coming out. And I point out that, hey, Molly asked Moody to check the thing, or to check the wardrobe upstairs or whatever, see if there's a boggart in there. And it says that his eyes zoomed up to look at it. And he says, he's like, yep, that's a boggart. And obviously the question is, does the boggart know it's being looked at by Mad-Eye Moody and changes into what he fears, or is the boggart in his true form? We don't know. It's an interesting idea, but we have no idea.
He uses his magical eye to look at the boggart in the cupboard at Grimmauld Place in the Order of the Phoenix. That's actually one that I asked and made a TikTok on, or like a short / TikTok. And yeah, so basically, like, if you don't know the context of that, Moody was on the first floor, and they wanted to make sure that what was upstairs in the cupboard in Grimmauld Place was indeed a boggart. And he just looked through the ground and into the cabinet, and he was like, yep, that's a boggart. So yeah, we don't actually know. No one knows what a boggart looks like except for Mad-Eye Moody, apparently, thanks to his...
And again, that's even if it works that way. I feel like potentially a boggart is able to just know when someone like him, like Mad-Eye Moody's looking at it like that, but we don't know.
Magical eye. And there's a lot of speculation on how powerful and what his magical eye can do. I've seen people compare it to one of the Deathly Hallows, which honestly is kind of reasonable because there is the legend of how the Deathly Hallows were made, but in the end, Dumbledore basically said that they are not they're not from death. They were just 3 powerful wizards, the Peveril brothers, that created them from very advanced magic. So it's possible that Moody's eye could be on the same level of that. But I got off track. Basically, Moody's the only one that knows what it looks like. We'll never know. Everybody in the series will never know. So yeah, that's it.
I feel like it's kind of like a shapeless thing, if anything, like maybe humanoid, but who knows? Just more or less, just kind of a shapeless thing.
Number 15. I swear that I
remember in the original Order of the Phoenix, they're too young. I believe that's correct. I'm fairly sure that I don't know how this is a question though. I'm fairly sure they married right out of Hogwarts and started having kids and everything. I don't remember if they actually were in the Order the first time.
I remember reading one of the books, probably the Order of the Phoenix, that Molly and Arthur Weasley weren't in the original Order of the Phoenix because they were too young. No, you never read that. No, they weren't too young. Fabian and Gideon, Molly Pruitt's brothers, were in the Order of the Phoenix, and they were her age, so they ended up dying in the first Order of the Phoenix. But no, the reason why they weren't in the original Order is because they were raising their family. Their kids were still really young, and they didn't want to put them in danger.
I wouldn't say that they were. I'm not saying that they were too young. I think I'm saying I just don't think they were in the Order because they kept their lives busy.
So yeah. Number 16. Where did the Veil and the Department of Mysteries come from? Well, that's an interesting one.
This one actually, I don't know if I remember if there's some that she said later on, but I'm fairly sure the answer is that the Ministry actually built the building around it. Like they found the Veil and they just built around it.
because the Department of Mysteries predates the Ministry of Magic, and the Ministry of Magic was actually built around the Department of Mysteries. So yeah, nobody knows. But the Veil was just there, part of the Department of Mysteries that again predates the Ministry of Magic.
So definitely, essentially, just there was just a rip in the fabric of space time, I guess, and like, hey, here's a thing that can lead you to death. Which, if we, I actually made a TikTok about this before, probably months back now. Imagine before the Ministry was there. Imagine just an area where there's just an archway, even if, assuming the archway was even there too, or if not, imagine just a space where if somebody walked through that space, they just vanished and died. Like, mothers would be terrified of that, and that's hilarious to me.
Yeah, it's just no one knows, and that's the answer to the question. No one knows. Number 17. I want to know what happens after the third Fantastic Beasts film. The series, which was originally intended to be told over the course of 5 films, has been cut short with no active plans to continue production with a 4th film due to the issues of low ratings, controversies among lead actors Johnny Depp and Ezra Miller, to be specific, and fan concerns with J.K. Rowling's transphobia.
What happens after the third? So the next 2 were literally just about Dumbledore and Grindelwald eventually fighting. Like, that's it.
Well, I can tell you a little bit. We know that it was going to lead up to Dumbledore and Grindelwald's final epic duel. Not what we saw in Secrets of Dumbledore. And I really like that because it wasn't in the book, and basically, like, from what we knew, they were not supposed to face each other until that final duel. And yeah, that was what the main thing that it was leading to, is what people call the most epic battle in the history of the Wizarding World, where Dumbledore defeated Grindelwald and took the...
And let's be honest, that would have been easily one of the best fight scenes ever. Like, the Fantastic Beasts really kind of kicked up a notch in the whole using magic thing. There's so many cool spells in the Fantastic Beasts series. Imagine Dumbledore and Grindelwald actually fighting, full-on fighting. Like, that would have been so fucking cool. So cool.
Elder Wand. But yeah, there's a lot of other things that they could have covered, like how Nagini became Nagini, like the snake of Voldemort. And then obviously, like, we know from the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, not the movie, but the book that was released in 2001, the textbook. We know that Newt and Tina end up together and get married. But yeah, I think that's the direction it was going into. I think they kind of lost the story as they were going. I don't think it should have been called Fantastic Beasts, personally. I think it was perfect for the first movie, but they should have just called it...
Yeah, agreed. The Fantastic Beasts, it works fine for the first one. The movies, obviously, they were trying to do Dumbledore and Grindelwald's whole thing, but also include some really cool beasts, which they did do, but obviously as you get to the last couple movies, it would have been impossible. Not impossible, but hard.
Dumbledore, not put the Fantastic Beasts there. But yeah, there was a lot to cover, and I think we know a little bit about what would have happened. But I am curious about how Nagini became the Nagini we know in the original series. And also, I think they would have had more about Aberforth and...
I've said this before, but I've never been a fan of the idea of her deciding to make Nagini a person who had a magical disease. Like, oh, hey, she can transform into a snake, and the more she does it, she's going to eventually be stay a snake. And of course, naturally, she is part of essentially like a circus where they're forcing her to turn into a snake repeatedly. Like, she was an idiot. It's just weird.
How he felt about Credence's death, and probably himself and Albus rekindling their relationship, because in the original series they were good friends. Well, maybe not good friends, but yeah, they were closer. Like, Dumbledore legitimately said, "I'm friendly with the barman of the Hog's Head." Number 18. In Book 3, Prisoner of Azkaban, how and why does Mrs. Norris, Filch's cat, appear on the Marauders map, but no other pets do?
So this isn't. I would say it's not that no other pets do. It's that no other pets are important to the story. Mrs. Norris is important because when they're using the map, they're trying to avoid Mrs. Norris. They're not trying to avoid random owls or any other people's frogs or cats or anything like that. That's what yeah. Why does Peeves appear on the map but no other ghosts in any zoo? They do appear on the map. What? they very much do appear on the map. It's just the books don't talk about every single thing that appears on there. Why did Harry never see Sirius Black on the map? Because he didn't. The map is a huge map. How to appear Peregrine, them, this turns into a whole thing too, which I'm not going to get into.
I don't think that's true. Mrs. Norris, yeah, you can see her on the map. I don't think there was ever any mention that no other animals can be seen, unless I'm just completely missing something. I don't know. After I finish this, I'll look into it and see if there actually is something that I'm missing. But
he's not
missing anything. That there's no other mention of other animals not being able to be seen. Honestly, like, what other pets would there be? I know that the map is able to see the Animaguses. Yeah, that's how you say Animagus. It's said with like a J, not a G. Rowling released that after the series, and
fuck that. It's Animagus. I will never change that.
She said that the movie said it wrong. But yeah, like, you can see all the
Which is funny. She was supposed to be, Like, she was supposed to be part of the movies and everything. Shouldn't she have known they were saying it wrong?
Maguses. So I think that's wrong. Finally, number 19.
My next question is who asked.
Finally, my unanswered question is who asked for a Harry Potter remake in 2024? No, I mean like it's.
I'll answer this before he does. As a massive fan of the books, I've always been very disappointed by the fact that the movies changed so much. I understand removing certain things that don't need to be part of the movies. Like, let's go with Hermione creating SPEW. We didn't need that in the movies. It was a nice thing in the books that showed how much she was trying to be a caring person, all this stuff, and how much effort she was putting into it. And it does make a change, or something big does happen in the 7th book. But having in the movie would have just been extra shit. But there are plenty of the movies that they just completely removed that should have been in the movies. Like, the 6th book was literally, the entire thing about the 6th book was learning Voldemort's past. And looking at memories of Voldemort's past and just constantly learning more. The movies were like, hey, here's 2 memories. What? We get what? We get Dumbledore meeting Riddle for the first time, and then Riddle asking about Horcruxes, and that's it. There are so many more memories we should have delved into. So, yes, fans have always wanted to have either a reboot of the movies where we get the entirety from the books, or a show where they can actually spend time. Like, for book 1, do season 1 for book 1 and just do as much info as you can. But the problem with that is, obviously, fans who grew up with the movies are gonna have a hard time seeing these characters as the characters.
It's gonna be great for my channel. But no, I don't like the fact that they're redoing what the movies did. I think that they should have done spin-off stories like the 4 Founders and the Voldemort's backstory. Or even one that I came up with that I think would be really, really cool is Mad-Eye Moody, the greatest Auror's time in the prime of his career. I think that would have been cool. But yeah, there were so many spin-offs. And obviously, like, Fantastic Beasts failed, but I think that was like one of the worst spin-off ideas that ever was imagined. Like, I know that J.K. Rowling was passionate about it, but I think it should have just been just Fantastic Beasts, and then just leave it there, and then.
Yeah, if they done just one Fantastic Beasts, that would have been fine too. Because, like, Fantastic Beasts actually did have just a bunch of beasts that he was going after, and they had just the side story of Grindelwald there at the end. Now, people toss out the idea of, like, doing the Marauders or doing just specific characters, or doing Voldemort, a complete movie on just Voldemort's whole history and everything. And those would be cool, for sure. Like, you obviously get the actor for Voldemort back with ease, because he's still gonna look the same pretty much. But, like, spin-off wise, I don't know. There's some of the things they could do, and they just aren't gonna do it. I said, I really don't know how I feel about the show. I don't know if I want to watch it or not. I feel like I should, just because, let's be honest, I could actually get some views if I was watching the show and doing reviews or something, but whatever.
And more spin-offs about all of the things I just mentioned. But yeah, I don't think a lot of people are excited that they're just redoing what the movies did, because the movies were just so perfect.
No. So the first thing is that there are plenty of people who are excited for the show. I'm not. I'm very much on the fence of whether I should give a shit or not. But the movies being perfect, fuck no. Sorry, dude. The movies got so much wrong, changed so much that it's hard to watch them. For me now, it's hard to watch them.
Obviously, there's a lot that the movies left out, which the show will be able to cover. And obviously, I'm going to cover everything to do with it on this channel. But yeah, I don't know. Not many people asked for it. And yeah, that's 19 questions.
Yeah, no one really asked for it. It's just they're like, hey, let's just do this because, money. Not to mention, I guess you can reach a younger audience again. But somebody like me, like, I want to watch. A part of me wants to watch the show just so I can nitpick every single fucking thing. So yeah.
Hopefully you enjoyed this. I kind of just rambled.
He seems to be a version of me, and I love that.
Like there was no. It's just a Sunday morning. I just woke up, saw it, and I was like, screw it.
Funny. It's actually Wednesday morning for me, and I just woke up and I saw this video. But yeah, these are 19 questions that a couple of weren't even questions, and a lot of these are just answered easily.